welcome to Develop Me, your favorite sales, motivation, leadership, and a little bit of rant channel. My dear fellows, we're going to talk about emotional intelligence. This is our first video. We're going to go over some basic stuff. What is emotional intelligence? Why is it so popular right now? And what can we learn from it, and how can we leverage it in our life? So let's first talk about what is emotional intelligence. Emotional intelligence, in gist of it, is knowing the emotions that are inside you, number one. Number two, managing them, right? Number three, understanding others' emotions, where they're coming from. And number four, mixing all these three steps into one, and this is called social skills. Before we get into EI, EQ, emotional intelligence, emotional quotient, let's talk about something that is more famous, and especially in the 90s when I was growing up, was a very, very key factor in determining if you are an intelligent person or you're not an intelligent person. And it is called IQ. As we all know, that is intelligent quotient. IQ tests were very popular. I'm sure they are even right now. When you have to take a university exam or entry test to a college, anything like that, you have to give your IQ test. And what is an IQ test? So let's talk about that a little bit. So in order to understand IQ, I went online and did a free IQ test. And now, as you can see on the screen, there is a breakdown of IQ scores first. So let's say if you score anywhere between 40 to 54 on an IQ test, you are considered to be a moderate mental disabled person. Now, that disabled word kind of sounds very negative to me, but that's how it is. IQ usually talks about two things. Either you are smart or you are not. So there's no middle ground there. And then, as you can see back on the screen, if you score anywhere from 85 to 114, now you jump into average intelligence part. And if you see 145 and up, that's highly gifted or exceptionally gifted, that sort of a thing. In order to be a doctor, professional, accountant, or an engineer, anything like that, any profession, you need 100 plus on an IQ test. Some places even ask for 120. That brings you right to above average and a bright student. Like I said, I have some examples for you with an IQ test. So as you can see on the screen, I have a question here that is one of the questions you may come across if you're giving an IQ test. Which larger shape would be made if the two sections are fitted together? So there are two boxes. You got to compile those and make the right appropriate box, right? Another question, number two, that I have on the screen right now is, which one of the numbers does not belong in the following series? And those numbers, as you can see, are 2, 3, 6, 7, 8, 14, 15, and 30. You have to pick one answer from 3, 7, 8, 15, and 30. Answering these two questions, or these type of questions, which will determine how smart are you, how intelligent are you, based on the IQ test that I just talked to you about. Now, let's make you the hero of the story. Let's say you are one of those who gave the IQ test and you became the highly gifted person. You scored 145 plus. You went on to the university. You got your degree. You are a big engineer, big professional, accountant, doctor, whatever. You're living in a great place, great city. You have all the amenities around you that you must have in a great place. And this could happen to your kids as well. For example, then you are sitting in a park and talking to a person, a close friend or someone, and you tell them that you have joined a soccer team and you had a great game last night. You scored 2 goals. Because of that, your team won, and you're like, you know what, imagine if I played at a higher level, at a higher competitive level. What would that mean? You know, I'm so pumped. And the person on the other end looks at you and says, stop dreaming. Now remember, that person only said 2 words, stop dreaming. That probably took 2 seconds. There are 1,440 minutes in any given day. Now, these 2 words will have such an impact that they will drain all your energy, hijack your brain, and move it towards those 2 words. Why did he say that? Am I not good enough? And you're going to go through a lot of emotions. You could feel sad, you could feel frustrated, you could feel anger, you could feel worthless, you could feel irritated. There's so many emotions and maybe you can get depressed if you keep thinking about it. There's so many emotions that you're going to go through if you continue paying attention to these 2 words, stop dreaming. So now let's talk about how would you handle this. Now, if you were the person with high IQ that our standards are, right? Higher IQ, the higher the intelligence level, the smarter the person, let's hire him for that job. But most of the time, we are dealing with emotions. When we are among people, you could be a person on a sports team, work team, right? You could be the engineer leading a team, working with the team, that sort of a thing. Doctor, you all work with team, you all work with humans. And humans will say things at times that may not resonate with you, they may not gel well with you. How would you deal with it? A person with higher IQ, as per the study from Daniel Goleman in the book of Emotional Intelligence, talks about this in depth. And he says, if you have higher IQ, you cannot manage these emotions because you're not trained. So more important for leaders, for everyone out here, is the emotional intelligence. So how is this going to help us? Stop dreaming. Those two words, remember those, and how are we going to overcome something like that? So according to the book again, Emotional Intelligence by Daniel Goleman, the number one thing we got to be aware of is self-awareness. So we need to understand what emotion we have right now. So just to give you an example, that person in the park told you, stop dreaming. You came home, your spouse, your wife, your mom, or someone had cooked the best meal, your favorite dish, right? Favorite meal. You sit down, that's your favorite thing. You're not going to enjoy it. Why? Because now you're not even aware of your emotion. Even something that is your favorite dish in front of you, you're not enjoying it just because of those two words. Those are two impactful words. So how do you work with it? You need to understand the emotion that is being created inside you. Why am I feeling irritated? Why am I feeling this anger? If you ask those questions to yourself, you actually can answer it first and understand the emotion that you have in that moment. Step number 2, according to this book again, is self-management. We cannot control the emotion that is inside us or emotion that is coming. So if you see a person and you feel upset about him or something like that, we cannot control that, okay? However, according to this book again, what we can control is how long we live with that emotion, for example. You can't control that negative feeling that has come with those two words. However, what you can control is how long you want to live with that feeling. You can extend it to 1,440 minutes and waste a day, or you can just spend like 4 minutes thinking about it and, hit the recycle button. Step number 3, according to emotional intelligence, is empathize. So understand why someone must have said something or why someone must have did the action they did, right? So stop dreaming. Think about this now. You may sit down and empathize and you say, okay, well, this person may not understand that people who make it big in this life actually started somewhere. Maybe this person doesn't have real big goals in life and really doesn't have that big mindset that I have, or that passion that I have, or the desire. Maybe that person is not loved at home at all. That's why he's just taking out on me. If you know that person, you can actually answer those things and understand why he or she said those words to you. Step number 4, according to this book again, is the social skill. So that is combining the awareness of the emotion that is inside you, then managing that emotion. How long am I going to stay with this emotion? And then understanding why someone must have done something like that or said something like that. If you combine all these 3 things together, you are in the stage number 4, which is social skill. To give you an example, again, an analogy I use here is of learning how to drive a car, a standard car for that matter. You got to put the accelerator on, leave the clutch, change the gear, manage the steering, and right signal, left signal. It's too much. But once you start learning all this, you can do all of these actions together without even knowing you're doing them. So emotional intelligence works the same way. These steps sounds like they're too much at the beginning, but once they become part of your DNA, part of your personality, then you do it naturally, just like driving a car, the standard one. Just to summarize this, once again, and some lessons that I learned from this is, number 1, we should understand our emotions more than, connecting those boxes, what number comes next. That's great smartness, I get that. However, we really need to be smart with our emotions. This will help you with your parents. This will help you with your children if you are a parent. This will help you with your spouse. This will help you at work. This emotional intelligence will actually help you everywhere you go, because everywhere you find what? You find human. And humans are the people, are actually the species that we deal with the most. So this is where we can win. So guys, understand what emotion you have first, right? Number 2, just to summarize again, manage that emotion, understand how to manage that emotion. Number 3 is understand why someone must have said something, empathize. And number 4, social skill. Combine all these 3 into one action and make it a cohesive attempt. So I hope I have given you some insights into emotional intelligence. We just scratched the surface today. As you know, it is a big one, right? Big topic. I'm going to bring more videos like this in front of you. And I really like to thank you for being with me so far, and keep watching Develop Me.